Welcome to the Dummy Plug Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Dummy Plug Podcast. I'm Gainer79. Tonight, I'm being joined by General Iowa.
Hello.
All right. And today on the podcast, we will be discussing the rise and fall of ADV. This kind of happened because their website has suddenly popped back up, and damn it, we need answers on what's going on. But we'll get to that in a bit. So first, we're going to talk about the history of ADV. So Iowa, why don't you take away?
ADV, that stands for AD Vision. I don't know. I've never really figured out what the AD meant itself, but that's not important. Was an anime licensing and dub company that existed from 1992 to 2009. In the time that they existed, they put forth about 225 properties across anime and manga. These include, and for those of you who were born in the middle of the 90s and probably didn't become anime fans until the 2000s.
Or if you're one of those damn millennials.
Yeah, if you're like one of the millennials. This is the company that had Evangelion, Rasafon, Oh My Goddess, XL Saga, Fist of the North Star, Sakura Wars, the original Sailor Moon, Saint Seiya, Slayers,
Robotech.
The list goes on and on of big name anime from the 1990s that were dubbed into the United States. So the best comparison is that ADV in the 1990s is what Funimation is today. They are the big dog.
The preeminent anime distribution company in the United States.
Yep, pretty much.
At their height.
Yeah, because about the only thing I can really think of... Well, the only things I can really think of that weren't done by ADV that would stand out as big name titles from the 1990s would be
Cowboy Bebop.
Bebop, Trigun, Dragon Ball Z, stuff along that lines.
Outlaw Star,
Inuyasha.
Yeah.
Because there were other companies that's anime. Other companies do exist. They do their own kind of thing, but they don't have the means to compete with the big dog. And there's a lot of companies that put out stuff now, but they don't have the ability to compete with the big dogs for the big names. And back in the day, studios didn't have that. Remember Ocean? Is that what they were called?
Ocean Group, the one that dubbed Inuyasha?
Yeah, the one out of Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah, those kinds of groups existed, but they never had the resources to go and get the big titles that were going to make the money like ADV did during the 1990s.
Right. So, the key thing here is that this is the company that basically made distribution possible. And granted, at the time when they were at their height, there was trying to compete with them was pretty much suicide for a company. You're talking about companies like Central Park Media that tried to go up with them, and in very early stage, some very early stage companies that just never panned out. But basically, once Central Park Media went under, ADV was the one that picked them up. They just basically acquired all their titles, which included stuff like Grave of the Fireflies, which is probably one of the most important titles that they ever picked up. Because it actually, that we were looking into this before we started the podcast, Grave of the Fireflies is the only Studio Ghibli film that is not owned by Disney.
And that's for the United States alone.
Yes, there's some weird distribution rights thing in Japan that Disney apparently owns, but in the United States, Grave of the Fireflies was at one point owned by ADV. When ADV got acquired by Sentai Filmworks, then they picked them up. So But
exactly.
But more to the point here, I mean, we're talking about just a major player in the anime world at the time.
Yeah, and the strange thing is that I just on a whim decided to look up Funimation and when it was started, and it was started 2 years after ADV was.
Mm-hmm.
But I had never heard of Funimation until...
Funimation didn't start really getting big until maybe late 2005-ish, maybe?
Yeah, around 2005, when I was... Right before I stopped going to cons, I think I had begun to hear of Funimation. And I think the only reason I had begun to hear of Funimation was...
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Texas, and I think the original Full Metal.
Yeah, the original Full Metal was around that time, and that's probably, that was the one that really cemented Funimation.
Yeah, like, if... I don't think without the success of Full Metal, I think the first one, I don't know if Funimation's really as big as it is now,
Mm-hmm.
because once you get your hands on like a property that gets hot and makes you a ton of cash, it allows you to do other things. And to an extent, that was ADV for a long time. They lived because of the money from Ava. Right,
and Ava's actually is actually at the center of one of the biggest controversies surrounding ADV. That being
that lawsuit.
Yeah, it's actually the lawsuit between ADV and Gainax over the live action rights to Evangelion. And there's a whole payment thing that just got to be this big mess, and ADV claims Gainax broke the contract, and yeah, it's a mess.
That is, by the way, they can continue to bicker about that all they would like, because I honestly never want that property to see the light of day.
Right. Well,
but that's another subject.
But yeah, and speaking of like some of the bigger accomplishments of ADV, other than like Evangelion, ADV was one of the biggest things to like really push forward, anime only services. One of the big things that they put out was the Anime Network.
Yep.
Which the network started in just like late 2002. And it was a video on demand service. So like if you had cable, you could get it through your on demand. And that, it showed a couple of different things, usually just like dubs for different shows that they had acquired. And to be honest, I mean, it wasn't exactly the greatest stuff in the world, but it was, it's anime. Holy crap,
Yeah.
And it was 24/7 available to you, the consumer. I mean, this is the network that at one point showed the dub for High School of the Dead. Take that for what it's worth, but it's just the idea that nowadays, yeah, you think Crunchyroll, you think Hulu, you think Netflix. Most of those ideas, though, probably stemmed from what they did with the Anime Network.
Yeah.
There's a lot of credit there.
Yeah, well, and I think the biggest thing... Okay, full disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason, and this isn't like full disclosure towards you, Gaynor. This is like full disclosure towards the audience.
Right.
Gaynor and myself are
old.
Yeah, we're old. I mean, let's face it. We are both old enough to remember ADV very fondly, because, like
we saw ADV titles when they were first released.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, most of the anime that I own, and partially this is because of owning, like, friggin' Evangelion 3 times over, but a lot of the stuff I own, between Ava, Shopping Arcade, Abadabashi, Excel Saga, I want to own Azumanga. A lot of the stuff I like is ADV stuff. I mean, I love Martian Successor Nadesco. It's a lesser-known title from the 1990s, and it was actually one of the ADV projects that preceded, like, it directly followed the Ava dub by about a year or so. So, if you watch Ava, and then you pop over to Nadesco, you're going to hear a lot of people you heard in Ava. It's just like, it's almost like watching Ava Light. Like, Diet Ava, just 1 calorie.
And without Shinji. Debatable. Yeah, that old joke about if you look at the artwork between Nadesco and Ava, I think the main character looks exactly like Shinji, but with a tan.
Akito does look a lot like Shinji, and he kind of is shit. Well, you know what the sad part is?
What?
Is that in the very first episode of Nadesco, the Akito, who is voiced by Spike Spencer, which makes this even funnier, basically does the entire character development of Shinji in like 1 episode. and then he actually gets in the robot and fights.
Oh God.
It's like, I know this is an in-joke, Spike Spencer. You won't admit it, but I know this.
Does the bus run through here?
Yes. Well, it does until the Jovians attack.
Okay. Well, one of the other, big accomplishments of ADV, though, was something called the Anime Advocates Program. And basically, if you had an anime club in North America, you could contact ADV. If you were properly sponsored by your institutions, you could basically contact ADV, and they would send you stuff to watch. And then all you really had to do in return was write surveys about the stuff. And that was it. So, I mean, basically, you ADV sponsored anime clubs across the nation and helped, really, start what we've done with this whole fandom in terms of, conventions and getting more anime clubs and, fan sites and this, just everything. And, a lot of people don't realize that ADV did stuff like that, and they really owe a lot to ADV. And really, the only reason ADV stopped doing that program is because they ran out of money to do it.
ADV running out of money to do things?
No way. It's not even that. What happened was the program was too good.
Yeah, very true.
The program was too good, and basically they did not have the resources to keep doing it because, that was it. So they stopped doing the program, but the company, but ADV allowed, anime clubs to keep, screening their properties. Just all you had to do was get permission to do so, and they didn't really care. Yeah,
exactly.
So, I mean, ADV was considering, the age that we live in with, copyright law and everything, the fact that ADV was cool enough to let people do that is astounding.
Yeah, exactly. And let's take you, the audience, back, and we'll help you to understand just how big of an impact this had upon, the anime community as a whole. Because I'm looking at attendance figures for conventions, and we're going to do some of the big ones.
Okay.
And we're going to show just how much of an impact in its own way ADV has had upon, the anime community in not only releasing stuff, but also through this program that Gaynor just talked about. So first of all, we're going to start with Otakon, which is one of the top 3 guns when it comes to anime conventions in the United States.
If I'm not mistaken, Otakon's based out of Baltimore.
Baltimore until 2017.
Okay.
And then they're moving to DC.
Oh.
But so still, yeah, they're running out of room which I'm about to illustrate that very well.
Please do.
We're going to go with 1998, and then we're going to go with 2008. Give it a 10-year gap.
All right.
Just to show you the exponential rate. So, Otakon, 1998, 2,500 people.
Pretty good for maybe a small mid-level con.
Yep. In 2008, 26,262.
That's a big increase.
That's 1,000% increase in the number of people going.
Now, I mean, granted, a lot of that can be attributed to other things, but ADV pretty much set the groundwork.
Yeah, Anime Central, 1998, 1,203 people. And that was its first year, too.
Okay.
2008.
Mm-hmm.
We're up to... Oh, crap. I just...
Technical.
Freaking bullshit.
Technical difficulties. Damn it.
13,900.
I was in that crowd.
Yep.
That was a good year, too.
And what's the other one? Oh, where's Anime Expo?
Oh, God, Expo. God.
That would be a really good one, too.
Actually, one of the ones I'd love to look into. What's the hell's down in Texas?
Acon. I've got that right here, too, actually.
What are the figures on Acon? Because ADV specifically is based out of Texas.
Okay, we'll start with Acon first. 1998, it was 1,931 people.
Not bad.
2008, 15,324.
That's a sizable increase.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also one of the biggest market. It's probably the closest market ADV had, considering they were based out of Houston.
Oh, you're gonna love this for Expo. So Anime Expo in 1998 had 4,883 people. In 2008, they had 43,000. By that time, they had also gone to a 4-day convention.
Yeah, because
you have to
at that point
to
it's
have
impossible.
that many people. But that just shows. But this list, and the bigger the con and the better the information you can get, the easier it is to make the argument about this. But across the board, 1998 to 2008, that 10-year gap, there is just exponential increase in a lot of cases, and in more cases than not, it just goes. Actually, you don't want to know what the best, you want to know what the best ratio is?
I'm listening.
Anime North in Canada.
Okay.
In 1998 had 747 people.
Okay.
In 2008 they had 13,300.
Nice.
That is off the charts.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, again, ADV wasn't the only thing helping this, but they played a big part of this.
No.
Now, and and that's the thing. And ADV was also a lot more than just anime. I mean, they also had their manga division.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk ADV manga, you're talking about Evangelion Angelic Days. You're talking Yotsuba. You're talking Gunslinger Girl. Those are some pretty heavy hitting manga titles.
Yeah. Yes, they are. Especially Yotsuba, I would actually contend is probably the biggest one of the three.
Now, of those three, yes, but they also had some other stuff because at one point, I believe it's in around 2006 or so, Tokyo Pop, who at the time was still functioning, acquired some of ADV's stuff, including Aria, Tactics, Peacemaker Kuragane, and Yen Press also had acquired rights to Yotsuba and Azumanga Daioh. So, I mean, you're talking about some, pretty hefty titles there.
Yeah, those are big name titles that carry quite a bit of weight within the community.
Especially Azumanga Daioh.
Yes, which is one of my personal favorites, both manga-wise and anime-wise.
Right. And to those who may not know what Azumanga Daioh is, it is the predecessor for any of the cute girls doing cute things in high school anime you've ever seen.
It's a more realistic, better version of Lucky Star.
This is true.
Because it's not trying to be quirky, it's not trying to be something that it doesn't need to be. It is completely normal in every single way. There is absolutely nothing that could not happen in reality that happens in Azumanga except for the Yukari Mobile. It's not physically possible to spin a car like that on the front yard of Chio-chan's house.
This is when we need Unit 2 to discuss physics.
Yeah. I should show him that clip and ask him, is it possible to do this on that surface with this kind of car? Because I don't think it is. but a lot of stuff tries to be slice of life and then interject other things into it that actually really have no place being there. When Azumanga just told the story of high school girls and their teachers and no parents.
I'm pretty sure parents just don't exist in anime anymore. Like, I'm trying to remember. I think the last time I saw parents in an anime, I was watching Oreimo. But that,
Evangelion had parents.
Well, it had one of them.
That's a scary thought. That's a scary thought. Ava doing something correctly.
All right. So anyway, back to ADV. But so we covered anime, we covered manga. But then there's the one thing that like ADV really kind of hung its hat on for a long time, and that was New Type USA magazine.
Oh, okay. This is again something that I'm sure some of the audience may or may not know what New Type is.
All right. So for those who don't know what New Type is, New Type was a magazine originally from Japan, and what it was a magazine about the culture. It was about anime. It was about manga. It was basically the industry. Magazine. It was all about like what's coming, what to look for, talking about the trends, talking about anything anime manga related. It was in New Type magazine, and so it was a big deal for a while. Like they really promoted the hell out of this thing.
It didn't even exist 6 years.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, because it started in November 2002 and ended in February 2008.
Yeah. Well, I mean, New Type still exists in Japan.
Right.
But, it's different over there because it does more than it does over here.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, yeah, New Type was a big deal for me, like, when it came out. Because I used to love getting my hands on New Types. Because most magazines are the standard format for a magazine. You know what the size of it is. New Types were huge.
Mm-hmm.
They were huge magazines, and you got DVDs that would have episodes of stuff, and you'd have the manga in the middle so you could sample manga, and they would just talk about so much stuff.
Oh my god, it was amazing.
Yeah, it was a literal treasure trove.
Like, and this is really before the advent of the internet, where you could just go online and look up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When you didn't, it's like if you didn't have the internet, this is what you had. You had New Type magazine, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
You were lucky to have New Type. It's a shame it didn't do better, but
well,
and I keep in mind this is coming from a company that, at its height in about 2004, and this is an actual figure for this, ADV's film unit, which is the one that produced the anime and all that stuff, was averaging $150 million in annual sales.
Mm-hmm.
It had licenses for 1,000 manga, and it was publishing New Type. That's just absurd to think about. Yeah,
it really is.
And yet, this is a company that, for whatever reason, just collapsed upon itself. So.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, we do have, what's it called, Otaku USA or something to that effect. Yeah, Otaku USA is kind of like a spiritual successor to New Type, almost in a way, because it kind of does the same thing, but
not as well.
No, it really doesn't, because the one thing New Type did with anime, like any anime that it covered in the time it existed, was it promoted the hell out of it, because it did not take stuff that was on the market and tell you about it. It told you about stuff that was coming, and it would get you hyped for it. And it did a bang-up job of doing that, because there was stuff in there that I never watched, but boy did I think, man, I want to check this out. I want to see how good this can be based off how New Type promoted it.
It's like, Jesus, if we can make those who want elves look good, we can make anything look good.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, to be fair, in December of 2006, they did have an Ava cover, and it directly said the best anime ever is back. I mean,
Because, goddamn it, it's true.
Yeah, it is true. I mean, well, no, it's my favorite, but
I know.
Again, favorite versus best that's another argument.
That's an argument for another day and another podcast.
But that was Rebuild. That was the beginning of Rebuild. That was how you found out that Rebuild was coming, because New Type broke it.
Yep.
To you.
That was it.
Yeah. Again, the internet was not as well developed even back in 2006.
Good God, it was a mess in 2006.
It really was.
Remember back when we had to use LimeWire? Good God.
Yeah,
remember Kazaa.
We're veterans of friggin' AOL and dial-up.
Oh God, remember
all that shit.
Remember you used to get the discs in the mail for AOL?
Oh yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah.
I actually used Netscape before I used AOL, so I was like even more bare bones with my internet service.
God, man.
And I thought that Time Warner, my actually first Wi-Fi was actually 2003 when I moved to Texas, and I thought that was amazing.
Good God, remember AOL Instant Messenger and how big it was?
Oh my God, it was.
It was like we didn't have cell phones with fancy texting back then. If you had AOL Instant Messenger, you were the god among men.
We're starting to sound like grumpy old men.
Yes,
I mean,
we are. We are.
But there's the reason why. We've kind of had to live through stuff that a lot of people that are anime fans haven't, because that's another thing with us, the two of us being the age we are. If you were going to take an average age range of an anime fan, it's probably going to fall somewhere between the ages of 18 to 24. No?
Yeah, I think I've averaged a con age at around 17 or so.
We are like, I hate to use the term old guard because we're not guarding anything, but we are the old school when it comes to anime. I mean,
which is kind of weird considering we're only 30.
Well, yeah. Well, that's one of the things, though. I mean, the Ava fan base was like, for the longest time, people like us, just with the wrong attitudes about anime and Ava and just things in general.
This is true.
So the fact that, we have all these younger members of the Ava fan base, like not just including those of you who are on our website, and we thank you, those of you who are listening, and we thank you. It's just anybody who is an Ava fan now, and probably 75% of them I would say are because of Rebuild. And you know what? Hey, that's fine. I like that fact.
But you all have ADV to thank for this.
Yeah. I mean, the popularity of Ava is because ADV got their hands on it, did the dub, got it to the United States,
promoted the ever-loving bejesus out of it.
Yes, they did, because if you pick up any ADV film or property from back then, there was always a preview thing before you could actually get to the menu. There
wasn't just a special, extras section. You had to actually sit through the previews of 4 or 5 different shows before you actually got to the title screen.
And they would also have this little mashup montage.
Oh, yeah.
Ava was part of it. Ava was always a part of it.
It was always central to it, usually.
Yes, it was. Yeah, very good. And that's the thing. ADV knew it had something big on its hands. I don't think they knew how big it was going to be, but they knew they had something on their hands.
Right.
They correctly promoted the hell out of Ava.
Right. So yeah, basically that's the rise of ADV, was just this, it was just this juggernaut of production and releasing and, just getting everything out there. And
the 1990s.
And some of the late 2000s and the early 2000s.
Yeah, and the very beginning of the 21st century, it really seemed like ADV could do no wrong, and they were making money
hand over fist.
But
like all good things, competition happens, and that's pretty much what the downfall of ADV was. Funimation finally got its feet under it and started really making some waves. Viz Media got big. Bandai was starting to release anime more intently in the U.S. And and this is right about the time ADV starts going down, you start seeing the release of some of the major anime titles that we all talk about now. You're talking about your Inuyasha, your Full Metal Alchemist. You're talking Bleach was started in like 2003, I want to say, or 2006. I can't remember. It's been a while, but
I'm gonna look this up. You keep talking.
But yeah, you're talking about some of the major anime titles you all talk about so fondly nowadays. These were all being released by other companies, and now ADV didn't have that foothold anymore. So
yeah.
And basically what it came down to is money, and ADV just didn't have enough of it coming in to compete.
Yep.
And a lot of it is, and again, a lot of this also is also luck, because some companies were willing to pay a little bit more on to try and get a potentially good anime title, and when they did, it just no, like, who would have ever predicted Full Metal Alchemist would have been as big as it was?
Honestly, I never really thought
Let's face it. There's hardly anyone nowadays who doesn't know the name in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. Also, to divert for a moment, yeah. Bleach started in Japan in 2004, so your 2006 assessment's probably correct.
Yeah, because I think the manga started in 2004, and I think the anime started later.
No, the anime started in 2004.
Oh, the anime started. Okay. So yeah, well, it was released in 2004 in Japan. I don't think it hit the States till 2006.
No, it didn't hit the States for about
two.
Yeah,
about 2 years.
2006 it started on Adult Swim.
Yeah, so yeah, there you go, 2 years.
Yep, about 2 years.
So yeah, you're talking about another huge title that no one saw coming. And that's just how it was. It's and when you can't compete in a volatile market like that, you just tend to go under. And
I think, and there's more to the volatile market thing that extends past, companies that take properties and dub them,
mm-hmm.
because this can also apply to series itself, if you really think about it, because, and this may just be me saying this because I don't watch as much anime now as I did back in the day, because I think I've seen too much of it. Newer stuff doesn't quite interest me because I see what's going on. It's just, I've seen this before. I'll just go watch what I watched before if I want to watch this again. But I think because the market has expanded so much,
mm-hmm.
which is due to ADV in some part. ADV got its foot in the door and expanded the American market.
Right.
Pretty much single-handedly.
Right, and if it wasn't for ADV expanding that market, we wouldn't have Funimation and all these other big...
You don't have Funimation, you don't have all these other things. But that also means is that because the market expands and that because there is such demand now, and as those earlier figures that people go into cons illustrate, demand has gone up. Demand has skyrocketed for anime in the United States. That also means that you have to keep doing supply. Sorry, kids, we're boring you with an economics lesson. Just deal with this for a few minutes. Demand goes up, which means you have to counter with supply. That means that there is just a ton of anime that is on the marketplace, both in Japan and in the United States now.
And the problem is only a small fraction of it is any good.
Yeah, and not only that, but stuff these days doesn't seem like it's going to be able to stand the test of time.
Right, and I think the reason for that is a lot of the stuff that gets made now is geared specifically for the otaku fan base. And
mm-hmm.
I'd like to cite a source on this.
Please do.
Yes, I'd like to cite Hayao Miyazaki himself.
Oh boy, you're bringing in the big gun.
Yeah, I got to bring in the big gun on this one. Miyazaki has actually stated that the problem with anime today is the otaku culture. And basically what he said, and this is translated from an interview, was he felt that most companies aren't letting creators create. They're basically just trying to churn out the same stuff that they know works and will pander to the otaku and will just keep a steady source of revenue coming, as opposed to like when Miyazaki started and there was only a few creators who really had passion for everything, and produced some of the most, fantastic and most well-beloved anime you've ever seen. I mean, we're talking My Neighbor Totoro, we're talking Spirited Away, We're talking Astro Boy. We're talking, all this wonderful old stuff that, you don't see that quality anymore in anime, and it's due to this otaku culture. But I digress.
Yeah.
It's, again, but that's but at the time there wasn't this huge supply for anime. Back before the age before the anime bubble. But now with just because of what everything's become, it's like we can't we're never satisfied. We're waiting. We keep chomping at the bit, waiting for that next big title to come.
I think most fans are in that boat. I don't consider myself part of that grouping because I think I'm a history major. So my eye is more towards the past than it is necessarily towards the present or the future. And I think the problem is that people are too anxious, as Gaynor has just pointed out in a way, they are too anxious to simply take something and anoint it as timeless. And that's not how it works. Things have to go through the natural progression of time, and they have to be able to weather the storm of change before you can call them timeless.
Right.
Miyazaki.
Let's face it, that's, there's your prime example. But if you want to talk about series, you could look at Cowboy Bebop now, and it's still the same fantastic show.
Bebop is a great example of something that has stayed timeless. For movies, Akira.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Akira that is getting on 30 years old, and that has stayed very well against the sea of change. The original Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, my God.
Is another film that I would consider to be doing the same thing of standing against that test of time. Ava is now into this territory because it's been 20 years since Ava came out. Ava is now into the timeless category.
Ava is almost old enough to buy beer.
Yeah. Astro Boy.
Astro Boy's old enough to buy beer.
Yeah, Astro Boy is one of those timeless ones. And the original one is kind of simplistic, but, it's the 1950s. I'll forgive it. But people still know what Astro Boy is.
Yeah. If you asked anybody in Japan who Astro Boy is, they know. Even if they don't watch anime, they know who Astro Boy is.
My father does not watch anime, but he knows what Astro Boy is, and he loves Astro Boy. And Gundam, the original Gundam.
Oh yeah.
And because the original Gundam has started a series and a franchise that has not ended.
Yeah.
Gundam is still alive and well to this day, starting from 1978.
Whether or not that's a good or bad thing is up to debate, but...
Well, I think with Gundam, the thing is it kind of depends on the shows.
Yeah, because for every G Gundam, then we have, C Destiny.
Oh. Yeah, even...
For every wing, we have an SD.
Well, for every Zeta, we have a wing. Again, Wing is one of the most polarizing titles within a franchise I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah. But, that's something else entirely once again.
Yeah, there's a big love-hate relationship with Gundam Wing. Because there's fans who absolutely love it, like me, and then there's people who absolutely can't stand it, like Iowa.
Yep. I'm sorry. I don't like...
But
I think part of the reason why I don't like it is because... Do you remember how Gundam was operating back then?
Not really, but I'm not sure what you're referring to.
The moment G Gundam ended in Japan, and the next week Wing started.
Wait, I thought G came after Wing.
No, G was first.
Oh, that's right.
G was dubbed later.
G was dubbed later, but it came.
G was dubbed later in the United States, but in the terms of the actual time. Like the chronology of the Gundam series, G's to happen before Wing. So G ended in Japan. The next week, Gundam Wing begins. when Gundam Wing ends in Japan, Gundam X begins.
Good God.
This is why Gundam Wing's kind of like artificially inflated for length, because they just had this doctrine from Sunrise that there's always got to be something Gundam going on. Doesn't matter what. This time, there's a Gundam series.
This is true.
And I think that hurts that show. And it kind of... Because I think if you could take Gundam Wing and pare it down by quite a bit, it honestly would be a better show. Really would.
All right, well, we're getting off topic here, Iowa. We need
very true.
So... But essentially that's what's going on with what happened with ADV is they just couldn't compete, and it's just, and they couldn't do anything. But now let's take a little jump here to the current day, because now this is and talk about the whole reason we're even talking about ADV.
Yeah, we're not just having a trip down memory lane for shits and giggles.
No. There
is an actual reason for this.
And the reason being is that ADV Films' website has recently become active again. It's not active to the sense that there's new content being shown. All they have right now, and I believe, what is it, advfilms.com, Iowa?
advfilms.com.
Yeah, if you go to advfilms.com right now, all you'll see, and you have to turn off your ad blocker for this, we figured out, is you'll see the ADV logo and a 6-digit random number generator. What this means, no one seems to know. Because for all intents and purposes, ADV is defunct.
Yes.
Like
ADV as we know it does not exist as ADV. It exists as Section 23.
Yeah.
But not as ADV.
Right. And the last thing anything done under ADV's banner is, was it the 2009 release of the Blu-ray of Elfenlied?
Yeah, which the last time there was activity with the ADV Films website, and
it's just ADV in general.
But with the website as an example, and I don't remember how I figured this out. It was like 2009, September 2009 is when the website was still a website. And then it gets to a certain point in September, and then it turns into legal briefs. Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. I was mistaken on the date. It was 2013 that the ADV Films thing got though the brand got relaunched for that Elfenlied Blu-ray release.
And then it immediately went back away.
Yeah.
So I'm going to consider 2009 as the cutoff point.
Right, because that's when ADV announced it was selling off its assets.
Yeah, the ADV was getting rid of everything, and the website shut down, and And the only reason that this came to my attention, and therefore Gaynor's attention and anybody else's attention on the website is, and I will give proper credit where credit is due. Monica Rial tweeted about this on February 23rd, asking, "What the hell was this?"
And so, as for what? That's the thing. If nobody in industry knows, God damn it, we're not gonna know because we're just fans.
Yeah.
And there's been a multitude of theories about this. One of them was that just somebody hacked the website and was trolling everybody. Another one was that it's just a placeholder, that it's going to just be something else eventually, and it's just kind of there. And then there's this other one that seems a little bit more plausible, was that Section 23 in Sentai Filmworks is rebranding themselves to be ADV.
Yeah, which is a very plausible explanation.
And the reason being is that Section 23 and Sentai Filmworks have this kind of a bad reputation amongst anime fans. They're known for releasing some pretty poorly dubbed anime, as well as quite a bit of sub-only releases.
Yeah.
So it's kind of so rebranding themselves as ADV, which as we've been sitting here talking about the accolades of ADV, it makes sense to want to be associated with something like that. So people associate ADV with good things. So, but it is what it is, and we don't know what the hell's going on, and god damn it, when we find out more stuff, we'll let you know.
Yeah, and I think it's also the importance of Monica Rial putting this out there is she was one of the kind of big names ADV had, even though she didn't get started until 1999. But as ADV progressed and, kept its momentum until it died, she did a lot of stuff with ADV. Because she's in, a lot of stuff that I like, and she's just in a lot of stuff in general that ADV did. But she's also now, one of the bigger names within the Funimation machine, not only on the voice acting side, but also on the writing side. So you have to think, if someone top tier within Funimation doesn't know what the hell is going on, nobody does.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And there hasn't been any official announcement about this. I mean, and that's the thing. Everyone's in the dark about this. Anime News Network's in the dark about this. Industry insiders are in the dark. No one seems to know what's going on.
Yeah. I at the time that we are talking about this, we have so little to go about that we haven't had any kind of news articles that ADV is coming back in any way, shape, or form, or any kind of speculation since February. And I mean, I know we're just into March, but still, that's a couple weeks ago, folks. We have had basically nothing for an entire month, which is not a good sign. So I don't know if ADV is attempting to come back or if it's a joke. It's this is becoming one of the more mind-boggling mysteries that the anime industry's had in a long time.
But at the same time, this kind of mystery creates a lot of buzz about about basically a company that doesn't exist anymore, for all intents and purposes. So, who knows? I mean, will something happen? Could this finally be the settling of the Gainax lawsuit? And this is where they'll announce the live-action Evangelion movie's happening. God forbid.
Yeah,
let's just keep personal preference on that one aside.
Yeah, we could discuss the merits of that another two. I think we kind of we just talked about casting. We didn't talk about the actual personal merits of an Eva movie.
But let's not.
Let's not. We're not doing that now. We'll do that later.
Yeah, that's another story.
But
that's the thing, and we'd love to. And if anybody out there listening to this knows what the hell is going on, contact us. We're not hard to find.
Yeah, you might want to tell us. That'd be awesome.
We have the wonderful website at rebuildofevangelion.org, and we have our forums there. You can also email us here at dummyplugpodcast@gmail.com. Check the about section on the YouTube page for the link. Oh yeah, by the way, thanks guys for everyone who's followed us to YouTube. That has been sort of a wonderful little transition for us.
Yeah, I'm actually very happy we're on YouTube because I think it's better exposure
Yeah.
for us as a brand.
And not to get off topic here, but we will be doing some very interesting things now that we're on YouTube. So look for some side content. Look for some, a lot of just interesting, cool stuff that we're going to end up doing. But back to the ADV stuff.
I think here's the big question. We are ADV fans.
I think that's safe to say.
That's very safe to say that we are ADV fans. I mean, hell, I think I've got an ADV Films button on my flag.
I know I do.
Yeah.
Wasn't Tiffany Grant giving them out?
I forget how the hell I got that.
I'm pretty sure we got them from Tiffany, dude.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did at RamenCon 2013.
Before or after she called you stupid?
Probably before. Yeah, I know, right? But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Do we want ADV back? If it comes back as how it was, are you okay with that? Do you only want it back under the idea that it's going to be as it was back in the 90s and the early 2000s?
I mean, it's tough to say that it could ever get to that, to that height again, just because of how different the market is nowadays. I mean, would I love to see another major competitor in the anime field? Yes.
It could definitely draw people into it, like
I mean,
that aren't part of the Funimation machine.
Right, and that's the thing. And not to knock anything against Funimation or but Funimation has too much of a stranglehold on the anime market in the United States right now, and that's just my personal opinion. But I mean, if I remember reading the figures correctly, Funimation releases somewhere in the range of about 25% of all the anime that we see in North America right now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is before Bandai stopped releasing and Viz kind of petered off. But basically, you're talking about one company has a stranglehold, which means they're controlling the content that we see, and that doesn't sit well with me. So I'd love to see ADV come back and be a major player in this whole thing, because that means that there's going to be competition for shows, and there's going to be a lot more. I mean, granted, we're going to see a lot of schlock come out of that if it ever did happen. Like, you'd probably be seeing just a lot of titles getting licensed just for the sake of the other company not getting it. But at the same time, it means that there's going to be competition for very good series with a lot of following. Like, could the world be different if, say, like Assassination Classroom had gotten licensed by ADV instead of Funimation? That would the dub be different? Would the release be different? Would there be more? Would there be more limited content? What kind of stuff would we get if ADV were to pick up a huge title like that?
I think, well, first of all, the thing that if a new ADV were to happen, they would be able to get back Spike Spencer and Tiffany Grant, I think, because they're not actually affiliated with anybody. I know they do work for Funimation, but they're not they are not exclusive to Funimation.
I was gonna say I wasn't sure what their contractual obligations are, but
it's basically right now Ava. Well, wait, are they done? Have they dubbed all of Bleach yet? Or no?
Yeah, I believe Bleach is done being dubbed. The anime is done being dubbed in America, and I believe the only thing that they're doing now is releasing the manga, because the anime itself is done.
It's completely done. There's there are no more episodes coming from Japan.
Correct. Because I believe production shut down for one reason or another. So
make it sound like ulterior motives happened.
It's not that complicated, but
okay.
It's one of those. I think the production company that was doing them or just didn't want to put money forth to do it anymore. Like it was for whatever. It was either wasn't productive anymore, or it just whatever. There's reasons, and I forget what they are. But it's not even important. But back to the point here.
Yes, if ADV was to come back in a full-fledged form, and I don't even mean it doesn't need to necessarily be a powerhouse, but if it's close to what it was or even half.
Mm-hmm.
I think the conditions would be right for people to jump from Funimation if they wanted to go to ADV,
right?
Or the independent people to do the independent people like Spike and Tiffany to go to ADV maybe exclusively again,
right? And I think there'd be also more opportunity for up and coming voice talents who maybe because they can't break the glass ceiling in Funimation might jump to ADV to get that bit of success that they've been wanting.
You know who could do that? Team 4-Star.
This is true.
That would not be the worst way for them to get into the voice acting industry, legitimately.
And it would certainly be a feather in the cap of ADV to bring them in.
Yeah.
And to start releasing their content exclusively.
Think about a lot of people who do abridged stuff. Like, maybe even getting people like Little Karibo,
Right.
who has shown a propensity to do a lot of voices, and he does them very well.
Right.
So
yeah, it's just having ADV back would create competition for resources in the voice talent pool, and honestly would probably lead to better dubs. You wouldn't.
I think so. Yes.
And there'd be a lot more diversity in terms of what actors are in those dubs. And that's one of my biggest knocks against Funimation is that they tend to use the same core set of voice talent.
Crispin Freeman, Todd Haberkorn, Johnny Young Bosch, Vic McDerpiter.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Not so much Johnny Young Bosch though, but more so Vic and Todd Haberkorn and those guys.
Yeah.
But it's basically those same people doing the same, doing different shows and just moving around who's the main character.
Yeah, and ADV didn't have that problem. You think they would have, but I don't know. Considering the amount of stuff they did, they were lucky that they never had that problem occur.
I think with ADV, and I'd actually have to look at their body of work to see, and then compare voice actors. I think the voice actors that they used for their stuff had a better range of voice that they could do.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where, because if you ever listen to, Vic Mignogna's voice range...
Oh, God, he doesn't have one.
He has a very limited range.
Yeah, because what was that one show on Adult Swim or that was basically Edward Elric Demon Hunter?
Oh, fuck, that was...
Kakaishi.
Yeah, that. Oh, my God.
It was Edward Elric Demon Slayer or whatever the hell it
was. Oh, my God, that show was such crap. But, yeah, essentially, yeah, let's take Vic Mignogna and stick him in another show. And it's Edward Elric again.
Yeah.
The only range McDerp ever shows is when he's Ikaku in Bleach, and that's about it.
Yeah, Spike Spencer has an amazing range as a voice actor.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, if you do watch, I'm going to bring up Nadesco again because, that was one of his earlier things. But, I mean, with Nadesco, if you listen to him as Aikido, it's still Shinji. It's still Shinji. But as Spike Spencer has done more and more, he has changed his style and his range to be far bigger and far wider. So, yeah, I mean...
Now, if you want to talk anime voice acting range, you need to look no further than Sonny Strait.
Oh, that man can do everything, I swear to God.
I mean, this is the guy who's Krillin in one series, and then...
Yep.
I believe he's actually got the role of Koro-sensei in Assassination Classroom coming up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's in that, along with Jerry Jewell, which that's actually going to be an awesome dub.
Wow.
And I believe, I want to say it's actually being released right now by Funimation, so I'd have to look into that.
Wow, Funimation releases them. How about that?
They're streaming it, but that's...
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, I guess that's different.
Yeah. So, anywho.
One last thing about ADV.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 2015 is the 20th anniversary of Ava.
Mm-hmm.
Just period.
Right.
Do you think that perhaps this is, intentional because of that, or is it just coincidence?
At this point, I'd have to say it's just coincidence, because if there was a major acquisition by ADV involving Ava, we would have heard about it. Somebody would have heard about it.
Well,
because
who has the rights to the original series?
Original series?
Yeah.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah. Who's got those?
I want to say it's Manga Entertainment at this point, but
How the hell did they get their hands on it?
Don't quote me on this. I honestly don't know. I could look it up real quick just to be sure.
Yeah, do you want to? Because I was thinking if the right people had them, or if, a reformed ADV would be able to get the money to Manga Entertainment, because Manga Entertainment's not doing anything right now because they're almost dead themselves.
Right.
Perhaps ADV could get their hands back on the original franchise.
Yeah.
And maybe do something with it because it's the 20th anniversary, or maybe to like get the machinations for the box set that Uber box set that's coming from Japan.
Right.
Maybe plant the seeds to get it ready for the United States, especially if they can get their hands on everything original, including the dubs and all the files and all that jazz.
Yeah. Let's see. ADV. I'm looking this up right now, and I'm trying to get something concrete on this because it's kind. Yeah, I mean, ADV Films was the last thing to have it.
They may still have it in some way then.
That's the problem. Is ADV Films is owned by Section 23, I believe.
Okay. Well, then if Section 23 was to come back to being ADV, then they revert back?
I know. Who knows?
I
mean, yeah, it's kind of a mess. And
I hate distribution rights with anime some days. This is why, kids.
It's like, it's a real pain in the balls. let's just get right into that. Yeah, I honestly wish I could tell you something specific about this, but,
It's fine, I understand.
Yeah.
This situation with ADV in part is a mess because they didn't just die.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of tried to stay as something else, but they really weren't. Ambiguity when it comes to business doesn't work at times, and this is an example as to why.
Yeah. So, yeah, I wish I could tell you who has the rights right now, but right now, as far as I can tell, it's ADV.
If anyone out there listening can figure this out, let us know, please. That'd be really handy.
Yeah, we'd love to have some concrete evidence on where the hell the rights to this series lie. Because here's what we do know. We know for a fact that the Rebuild series are being released by Funimation over here.
Yes.
As for anything else, who knows?
Yeah.
So.
Oh wow, who knows with Ava? Shocking.
Yep. So yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about that more when we have time and figure things out. But I think we've covered this pretty well. So, we'd love to hear from you guys again. Get a hold of us. We're not hard to find. Come visit the forums at rebuildofevangelion.org. Hit us up on the email for the podcast, dummyplugpodcast@gmail.com, or you can contact Iowa directly. What's that email, Iowa?
GeneralIowa@outlook.com.
Thank you. So, yeah, get a hold of us. Because really the only person who has emailed us, and we actually have gotten emails, Iowa. I know this is unprecedented. We've actually gotten emails.
We have?
Yes.
Whoa.
I know, right? Well, we've gotten one email, and that one email is from one of our loyal listeners and forum members, Ghost Trek.
Yay!
So, Ghost Trek, thank you for setting the precedent. You are the first one to ever email us. Keep up the good work, and keep talking to Ava. So, and somewhere down the line, guys, we might do a fan question episode. So, there's
if we ever get the fan questions.
And if give us fan questions. Give us questions that you want to ask. Maybe because you couldn't make it to one of our panels. Maybe because you couldn't, because you're just not a forum type guy. Just give us an email. Just hey, what do you think about Shinji and Kawaru's relationship? Or what do you think about the specs of Ava Unit 1? Talk to us. We want to talk. Ask us about ADV. Ask Iowa about wrestling. God damn it, he'll talk about that for an hour.
Yeah, I'll talk about it for more than an hour. Are you kidding me?
Good God. Hell, tell us how to get on, other shows. Like, if somebody can tell me how to get on, like, at midnight, that would be awesome. That would be hilarious.
I was gonna say, God, can you imagine us on that show?
I could.
Might be the worst idea ever.
Oh yeah, me, you, and we'd have to take Asuka with us.
Oh, so we're going to not take Unit 2? God, you're so nice.
Unit 2? Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
We can't we can't all be just, guys up there and whatever. We need diversity, damn it.
Okay.
All right, but anyway. So yeah, contact us, say hi to us, talk to us, and so thank you guys for listening, and we will be. Have we gotten any confirmation on anything yet in terms of cons yet?
Except for Anime Central, we have no confirmations. But again, I mean, Anime Central is only 2 months away at this point. So
yes.
For those of you who are in the Midwest and have the ability to come see us. I'd like to actually,
talk Ava.
Yeah, just meet a bunch of you guys in person. Just sit, chill, maybe have a beer if you're old enough.
Yeah.
Why the hell not?
And for those of you who may not be old enough or just don't really enjoy the big con scene, you can come see me at KuroshiCon, held at Northern Illinois University. It's going to be March 28th, I believe it's a Saturday. I'm not doing an Evangelion panel, unfortunately, but I will be doing the final run of my, the panel that I helped start when I founded the con. I'm doing my Prove Me Wrong panel, where I'm talking about some anime that I have some problems with. I give you guys a chance to come back at me and say why I'm wrong. And I give you guys prizes, like Pocky and stuff.
It's actually the 28th, because the 27th is a Friday.
I said the 28th.
No, you said the 27th.
I said the 28th.
Well, the recording will tell us.
I think you need your hearing checked, because I said the 28th.
Oh, my hearing is absolute shit. You know this.
Exactly. So, yes, if you want to come see me at KuroshiCon, March 28th.
I'm actually going to try to attempt to be there, too.
Yes, Iowa might be there.
Yeah, why the hell not?
Because reasons. And, yeah, and when we find out about other cons, and we'll let you know about that. But, as always, keep track of us on the forums. Keep track of us at the site. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube now. You can find us, just search Dummy Plug Podcast or Shinji Ikari, for whatever reason I named the channel that.
You might want to, change that name.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion.
When I get done uploading the other episodes, we'll get on that. But
oh yeah, how many have you got left?
I got 6 left.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, I just released the Bleach Happy to Serve You interview. But enough about that. We'll get to that later. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you for listening. Get a hold of us. We'll talk to you later. Peace and good night.
ADV may be dead, but it is not forgotten, my friends.